Your refrigerator is running right now, and there is a real chance it has been quietly overworking itself for years without you noticing. It is the one appliance in your home that never turns off, running every hour of every day for the entire life of the machine, which means even a small inefficiency compounds into real money over a year. Before you consider replacing it or calling a repair technician, there are 7 completely free fixes that can meaningfully cut how hard your fridge works, and every single one of them takes only a few minutes and costs nothing but a little bit of attention. The first fix is checking your actual temperature setting, because most people have never verified it. The ideal range for a refrigerator compartment is between 35 and 38 degrees Fahrenheit, with the freezer set at 0. Many people run their fridge considerably colder than this without realizing it, assuming colder automatically means safer or fresher. It does not. Every degree colder than necessary adds real strain to the compressor, and running your fridge just 10 degrees colder than it needs to be can increase your electricity usage by roughly a quarter. The internal dial on many fridges is not entirely reliable either, since sensors can drift over time, meaning the dial might read 37 degrees, while the actual internal air temperature is sitting several degrees colder. A cheap appliance thermometer left inside overnight will tell you the real number in about 10 seconds, and it is worth doing this once rather than trusting the dial blindly. The second fix is testing your door seals, and this one takes about 30 seconds. Close a dollar bill on the door so that half of it sits inside the fridge and half hangs outside, then gently try to pull it out. If it slides out with little to no resistance, your seal is not making proper contact anymore, and cold air is escaping every time the compressor cycles. Repeat this test at several points around the entire perimeter of the door, not just one spot, since seals frequently wear unevenly, failing near the hinges or the bottom corners before anywhere else. If a section fails the test, first try cleaning the gasket thoroughly with warm soapy water, since built-up grime and food residue alone can be enough to prevent a proper seal. If the rubber itself is cracked, brittle, or visibly warped, cleaning will not fix that, and the gasket genuinely needs replacing, though that is a minor repair rather than anything requiring a technician. While you are testing the seal, also run your hand slowly along the edge of the closed door on a warm day. If you can feel even a faint stream of cool air escaping anywhere along that edge, that is the same problem showing up in a more immediate physical way, and it points you directly to the section that needs attention first. The third fix is one almost nobody does regularly, and it may be the single most impactful item on this entire list: cleaning the condenser coils. These are the coils responsible for releasing heat out of the refrigerator, typically located either behind the unit or along the bottom underneath the front grille, and manufacturers generally recommend cleaning them at least twice a year. When those coils are coated in a layer of dust and pet hair, they cannot release heat effectively, which forces the compressor to run longer and harder to achieve the same cooling result, the appliance equivalent of trying to run while breathing through a straw. Unplug the fridge first, then use a coil brush or a vacuum attachment with a narrow nozzle to clear away the buildup completely. This single step alone has been documented to improve a refrigerator's efficiency by up to 30% when coils have gone a long time without attention, which is a genuinely significant number for something that costs absolutely nothing to fix. While you are back there dealing with coils, check your freezer for ice buildup at the same time, particularly if your model does not have automatic defrost. A layer of frost, thicker than about a quarter inch on the interior walls, acts as an insulating barrier, forcing the compressor to work harder to cool through it. Similar in principle to dust sitting on the coils. If you notice that kind of buildup, a full manual defrost, unplugging the unit and letting the ice melt completely before wiping it dry, restores proper cooling efficiency immediately and costs nothing beyond the time it takes. The fourth fix is giving your fridge room to actually breathe. Refrigerators release the heat they extract from inside the unit out through the back and sides, and if the unit is pushed flush against a wall or crammed into a tight cabinet space, that heat has nowhere to properly escape. Leave a few inches of clearance behind and around the unit if your installation allows for it. A fridge that cannot dissipate heat efficiently ends up running in longer, more frequent cycles just to maintain the same internal temperature, quietly increasing both its energy use and the wear on the compressor over time. If you are finding these kinds of practical fixes useful, subscribe to this channel right now. It costs nothing and helps this channel keep finding ways to save you real money on things you already own. The fifth fix is about placement within your kitchen more broadly, not just the fridge itself. Refrigerators positioned near ovens, dishwashers, or in direct sunlight through a nearby window have to work considerably harder to maintain their internal temperature, since they are constantly fighting the ambient heat surrounding them. As a rough rule, a refrigerator can use roughly 2.5% more energy for every single degree. Its surrounding room temperature sits above a normal 70 degrees. If your fridge happens to sit next to your oven or stove, that difference adds up meaningfully over the course of a year, particularly during summer cooking. If you cannot relocate the unit, at minimum be mindful of running the oven for long stretches right beside it, and keep any nearby blinds or curtains closed during the hottest part of the day if direct sun is hitting that wall. The sixth fix is a matter of loading habits rather than any physical adjustment to the appliance. A moderately full refrigerator actually holds its temperature more efficiently than a nearly empty one, since the food itself acts as thermal mass, absorbing cold and helping the internal temperature stay stable between compressor cycles. If your fridge tends to run mostly empty, keeping a few water jugs inside can genuinely help stabilize the internal temperature and reduce how often the compressor needs to kick on. The opposite problem matters just as much though. An overloaded fridge blocks the internal airflow vents, forcing certain sections to run colder than necessary, just to compensate for the sections that are not getting enough circulation. The general target is somewhere around 3/4 full, comfortably stocked without anything blocking the vents, usually located at the back interior wall. The seventh and final fix is a habit rather than a one-time task. Let hot food cool down on the counter for a short while before placing it directly into the fridge. Placing genuinely hot food straight into a cold refrigerator raises the internal temperature of the whole compartment measurably, forcing the compressor into an extended cooling cycle to bring everything back down to a safe range, and that extra cycle costs real energy every single time it happens. This does not mean leaving food out for hours, which raises separate food safety concerns entirely. Just enough time for the steam and the worst of the heat to dissipate before it goes inside. One bonus point worth knowing, even though it will not apply to everyone: the physical design of your fridge itself affects how efficiently it runs, and this matters most if you are ever in the market for a replacement down the line. Every additional door on a refrigerator, whether it is a separate ice and water dispenser panel or a French door split down the middle, is another seam where cold air can leak out each time it opens. Models with fewer doors and simpler designs generally hold their internal temperature more efficiently for that exact reason. Similarly, refrigerators with the freezer positioned on top tend to run more efficiently than side-by-side or bottom freezer configurations, since that layout keeps the coldest air naturally settled at the bottom of the unit rather than fighting gravity. This is not something you can fix on a fridge you already own, but it is worth factoring in the next time you are shopping, since the layout itself is quietly part of the efficiency equation before you even plug it in. Put together, these 7 fixes address the same underlying issue from every angle, helping your refrigerator maintain its internal temperature with the least possible strain on the compressor, since the compressor is both the most energy-hungry component in the entire unit and the single most expensive part to eventually repair or replace. None of these 7 fixes require buying anything, calling anyone, or taking the unit apart. They require about 20 minutes total spread across an afternoon, most of which is simply cleaning coils and testing a door seal with a dollar bill. One broader note worth knowing if your refrigerator is older: if your unit is more than 15 years old, these fixes will still help meaningfully. But at a certain point, aging components and outdated compressor technology mean even a perfectly maintained older fridge will use noticeably more electricity than a newer, similarly sized ENERGY STAR certified model. ENERGY STAR certified refrigerators are required to use at least 15% less energy than a standard non-certified model to earn that label. That is not a reason to panic or replace a working appliance prematurely. These 7 fixes will still meaningfully reduce what an older unit is currently costing you to run, but it does mean there is a genuine ceiling on how efficient an aging fridge can ultimately become no matter how well it is maintained. 7 checks, no tools required beyond a dollar bill and a vacuum attachment, and a fridge that finally stops working harder than it needs to. The next video is already up. Go watch it now.